Okay, so the live feed should show up right there.
Yeah. No, let's be over here.
Gotcha.
Research and Development Center in Ottawa, Tennessee. It's time to light the grill, smoke the meat, and then repeat. Because you are seeing and listening to the Owls Nest BBQ Show with Steve Ray. The Owls Nest BBQ Show is brought to you by David Wolfscott and all the great products from Butcher Barbecue. Rubs, injections, sauce, and grilling oils. Now you can cook like a world champion with Butcher Barbecue products. And now the host of the show, Steve Ray.
Hey everybody, thank you so much for listening to us tonight. Turn that off, turn this off as well. Welcome to the Owls Nest BBQ Show. I'm Steve Ray. Your host with me is neighbor Frank,
Never Frank in the house.
my producer. I gotta,
I'm not sure what I can produce.
Welcome. We've got a fantastic show lined up with you tonight. Coming up in just a few minutes is one of the Frank, seriously, the greatest
Yeah,
barbecue cooks,
In America.
barbecuers
in America.
in America.
No-
Robby
no
Royal
question.
from Sycamore, Georgia. He'll be joining us here in just a few minutes on the Owls Nest BBQ Show. We appreciate everybody watching and listening. If you're watching on my Facebook page, Steve Ray, go over to my Owls Nest barbecue page and like it and watch Frank and I there. Okay, we moved. Today's a big day, Frank. We've moved everything over to the Owls Nest BBQ page. We're simulcasting still to my page because we don't want anybody to miss what's going on. But we want you to come to the Owls Nest BBQ page because that's where we post all of our cool pictures.
Yep. And if you got questions, comments, please ask, comment.
Yeah, absolutely. Robbie will be here in just a little bit, and he'll be glad to answer any questions you might have. We can do a little housekeeping, though. Have you seen this? The Scrappy's Wing Cook-Off?
Not yet.
Have you heard about that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
March the 30th, down at the Pavilion. Or, no, it's not. It's in the, which one's the north parking lot? Is that the one that faces, that's the north parking lot.
On the left-hand side of the stadium.
Well, the
Not
stadium.
the old pavilion.
Yeah, well, no, it's not the Pavilion. The north parking lot faces where T-Bones used to be.
Yeah.
That's the north
Yeah.
parking lot.
Yeah.
That's where it's going to be. If it
Okay.
doesn't rain.
That's
Remember
great,
last
yeah,
year?
if it
Remember
doesn't
last year? It rained. It was in
Yeah.
the Pavilion. And I don't know why they don't put it in the Pavilion again, Frank. That was perfect.
Unless I got somebody else booked for it, But that's
Well,
perfect
It's
place.
a spring game. Ain't nobody.
Well, yeah.
I mean, hopefully they'll come down and watch us cook wings.
Yeah, yeah.
But you guys, come on, UTC, come on, put us in the Pavilion. That's the best place to be, in the Pavilion. But anyway, if you're interested in cooking that, by all means participate. It's free. Go to Chattanooga Fan Fest, hosted by the University of Tennessee at Chattanooga. That's the spring game. We got a new coach, Coach Wright, Rusty Wright,
Yep.
in the house, back for
Yep.
another stint, this time as head coach of the UTC Mocs. He'll be debuting the 2019-20 UTC Mocs football team. Hope it's, let's see, no, it won't go into 20. Because if they go all the way, it's at the end of 19, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't go into 20 like the other team does.
Yeah,
But-
the FCS playoffs will probably already be done by
Yeah,
that time.
Yeah, it is. But anyway, the 2019 version of the Mocs, and you can be part of it, the spring game, absolutely free. I don't know how they're going to do it this year. I can't remember how they did it last year. Did they give us wings to cook? Or did we have to provide? I think we had to provide
we
our own.
provided the wings. Yeah,
Yeah.
we provided
It was
the wings.
it was dumb last year, and I hope they do a better job this year. I'm trying to help them.
Very nice. They were very hospitable, but
Well, yeah,
it
but-
was very
but it was
a bit
dumb.
unorganized.
It was unorganized and dumb.
And let two brothers win off the same cooker.
And well, you saw how the judges were
Yeah,
too.
the judges were
I
the
mean,
dad.
good grief.
The
good
cards,
grief.
The cards were stacked.
And they took all the wings up to the press box and ate them
Yeah.
and judged them up there. Oh, that's fair.
Yeah.
Can you see that? Can you see that mayhem
Yeah.
going on? Everybody, Jay Greason throwing wings to everybody. Here, try these.
And they,
Try these. Here, whose are these?
Yeah, and his son Bobby cooked them.
Yeah, so we can do better than that, and we will. March 30th. I'll be there. I don't care. I'll be there. By golly, I'll be there.
It's fun.
I'm bringing the trophy home to Ooltewah, Frank. The Owls Nest BBQ is going to win the wing contest at UTC this year.
What do we have? 12 teams last year.
Is it that many? I don't think
Yeah,
it's that
probably
many.
a dozen.
I don't know. But anyway, we're going to win it. Bring home the wing thing. The Owls Nest Wild Thing Wing Team. And before we go to Robbie, we'll be calling him in just a second here. If you're watching, Robbie, hang on. I want to tell you about something. You see this stuff right here? That is Butcher's Barbecue Signature Blend Grilling Addiction. The man that invented this and the man that distributes this is named David Bosca. He's been on this show twice already. David won a little contest last year called the Jack Daniels Invitational World Championship. You have to be invited to the Jack Daniels
Number one, yeah.
because you have to be
Yeah.
a winner of something during the year.
Yeah.
One of the few true invitationals. David won it last year. He turned in chicken, ribs, pork butt, and brisket. And every protein that David turned in had David Bosca's grilling addiction somewhere on the meat.
Yeah.
So what does that tell you? it's probably pretty good stuff. We've got it at my place, Steve Ray's Midnight Oil in Ottawa, and we are just about ready to open the new sales area that was in the little fire we had last year. It's been about a year and 5 days now since the fire of last year of 2018.
Day that'll go down in history.
It sure will. February 8th was 1 year. And Brad the painter is there as we speak, stripping the floors, getting ready to paint the floor. And all we have to do is get the junk out of the bays in the back, put them in the very back, and we will be back in that sales room with a complete line of Butcher Barbecue products just for you. The waiting room will be back in there. The big 65-inch TV will be back in there, and we'll be back up to 100% probably by this time next week. No, yeah, Wednesday, yeah.
Week, 2 weeks, whatever.
Probably a week.
Yeah.
10 days, maybe. 10 days. But we're real excited about that. We want you to come out. We're there. If you have questions about barbecue, we'll talk to you about it. We love to talk barbecue. Frank comes in on Saturday morning sometimes, has coffee. What do we sit around and talk about?
Barbecue.
Barbecue. We're pathetic.
Barbacoa.
We're pathetic. Let's get on the phone. Let's call somebody that's...
Hey, John McGuire, James Walker. How you guys doing this
Hey,
evening?
James. James is with us. Let's get Robby on the phone. Somebody that really knows barbecue. There he goes. Robby Royal will be right with us. He'll be answering the phone in just a moment.
Hello.
Robby Royal.
Yes, sir. Steve, how you doing?
I'm good. Is this the Robby Royal? The one.
That's
one
the
of,
nicer thing some folks call me. Yes.
That's where the bills come into the mailbox, right?
ladies and gentlemen.
Yes.
It is, Robby, it is my pleasure to welcome you to the Owls Nest BBQ Show. And I wanted to have a big-time guest on, and your name hit my mind as soon as I thought, who can I get to kick off our new show on our new Facebook page, the Owls Nest Barbecue page? And I couldn't believe you said yes. I said, I'll give Robby a try and just see if he remembers me and see if he would grace us with his presence. And he did. Robby, thank you so much. He is a
no problem whatsoever. I will have a good time.
barbecue pitmaster winner. He is a first responder in his hometown in Sycamore, Georgia. Folks, you talk about a barbecue all-star. Robby Royal is a barbecue all-star. And Robby, you're also, you what you do at home is really much more important than barbecue, isn't it? Tell everyone what your real job is.
It is. It is. You know, I'm a paramedic, and I'm actually the EMS director of my home county's EMS. I have been for 7 years now. I've been working there for 20 plus years.
Wow.
Part-time and full-time. And so it's an 8 to 5 job Monday through Friday. And being able to get away and cook barbecue on the weekends, it's a stress release for me. You know, I mean, a lot of folks stress out at comps, but I don't. You know, if I win, it's okay. If I don't, it's okay. I'm there to hang out with good friends such as yourself, meet folks, and just have a good time and relax. You know, folks always see me and I seem stressed, but I'm really not. I'm just there to have a good time. It's a completely different atmosphere than being on a reality TV show.
I bet it is. But you know, you talk about the stress and everything about being on a. Let's see me move this window real quick. Bear with me. There you go. I want to get your big mug up there with us. You know, it's a different kind of stress.
It's a big one.
It's stressful, but you know, it's a different kind of stress, isn't it? It's a relaxing stress.
Sure, absolutely. You know, there's a. I don't know. It's to me, it's not stressful anymore because I just cook when I want to cook. I don't feel like I've got to go out there and cook everywhere. And you know, just to get away from work. And now it's just Stephanie and I or the rescue smokers, and my buddy Danny, who is the factory manager there at Stump Smokers. He cooks with me, probably 75% of the time also. But it's truly just something for Stephanie and I to do together that we enjoy. I mean, probably 75% of our best friends in the world have come from cooking barbecue, competitive barbecue, and being out there.
Oh, there's no doubt.
That's the biggest part of it.
It's a close camaraderie. I want to remind you about Robby that my partner Frank Blair is here with us today. So if you hear a question or somebody blurting out, you don't recognize the voice. That's Frank. He's here with us in the studio as well.
I was watching the show. How you doing, Frank? I was watching the show before you.
Good. How are you? Great to have you.
Hey, Robby.
Yes, sir.
The tail of the tape. You reached. I'm going to say you reached a lot of fame and stardom, and made quite a bit of money too, on the Barbecue Pitmaster series a few years ago. But you had to start somewhere. You don't start on television. What is the starting blocks for Rescue Smoker?
My dad was part of an MBN team, Memphis Barbecue Network team that cooked only at the Pig Jig for about 7 or 8 years. And my wife and I would just go up there and visit, hang out with them. And he wasn't really the cook on the team. He was the support side. He sponsored it.
Yeah.
But he was part of the team, and it was all of his firefighters. He was fire chief in our county in our city for 27 years.
Wow.
And so that's where I started getting around barbecue, and we would go up there every year. And then when he passed away in 2002, those guys came to me and asked me if I would like to take a spot on the team, and I graciously accepted. Just a matter of weeks prior to the Big Pig Jig in Vienna, Georgia, and I literally didn't know. I could cook. I grilled all the time. Had a Lang smoker here at the house where I'd smoke a little bit here and there.
Yeah.
But they literally threw me out to the wolves. They put me out talking the talk like you used to have to do in a Memphis Barbecue Network at the very first competition. And I'm like, y'all, I don't know exactly what y'all are doing here, and it's just gone from there. But the Rescue Smokers came about in 2006. Rescue, hence paramedic, firefighter.
Right.
And that's how the team came about, and that's where my logo comes from. And we've had a lot of fun, and just very fortunate. I kind of like I listened to Eric's interview with you a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
And Eric Thomas. And we submitted applications to get on Pitmasters 3 years in a row, and we were actually almost chosen in 2013. We were the alternate team for when they just did the single episode, like the Georgia episode where holy smokes, Gary and Deion Lattin won it. And I'm truly grateful that we didn't wind up on that episode. Nothing against it, but I'm proud that we wound up on an episode where we got to do more than one show if we won. And but the Rescue Smokers have been cooking since 2006 and been very fortunate, very, very blessed to be successful. And it's an expensive sport, but it's been a fun road traveled. It's been a great experience.
On getting back to the series, and I don't want to, Robby, I don't want to dwell on the series because it's in the past now, and I like to deal in the future. But you were such a integral part of that series for so many years. It's like when you first went on, especially the early ones. You remember when they did I think it was season 2, and they did the Big Pig Jig. I think they kind of introduced you into that series. Wasn't that it? When you came up and said Myron was the best. They
kind of had a glimpse of us in 2010 when Johnny and Tuffy and Jamie and Leanne Whippen and all those guys, they chatted with me a little bit there, and actually did a really good interview, but it only showed a short minute there. And I guess where we got fortunate, we'd already been on Pitmasters in 2013 when the first year of Barbecue Pit Wars came around, and we had filmed a couple of episodes. lost in the semifinals to Rod Gray, and had already been chosen for the 2014. We'd already filmed Pitmasters.
Oh, you're kidding.
For 2014 when we won the pig. No. We did that afterwards when we actually made the show.
Mm-hmm.
And so where they spotlighted us on Pit Wars with Myron and Big Mo and Stump.
Yeah.
And Michael Character was at the 2013 Big Pig Jig where we won. And it kind of just sprung from there, even though we were already chosen to be on the next year's Pitmasters, but we hadn't filmed it yet.
But on those early ones,
did I make sense there?
Oh yeah. You got ahead of my interview. I see you barbecue guys are you're always one step ahead of me, and that's most everybody. Robbie's always one step ahead of me. Well, it seemed like when you appeared on Pitmasters, Pit Wars, All Stars, and Smoked, that you and Myron are friends. Are y'all really that good of friends? And did he really kind of take you under his wing and teach you barbecue?
I wouldn't say took me under his wing. I paid to go to his class back in. Let me back up just a little bit. I was at my first FBA contest in Barnesville, Georgia. Had never cooked a brisket. Was headed up there. We stopped at a local Piggly Wiggly and found a brisket. We signed up for that competition at the very last minute. I believe that was 2006 or late 2000, early 2007. It was April of 2007.
And you were going to cook a brisket and you never cooked one?
Never cooked one. And
don't tell me you won. I'm going to get ahead of you. Don't tell me you won. Go ahead.
No, did not. We got there, and the other guys started setting up the camper. We cooked out a camper on a lane at the time.
Yeah.
And I ran to the local library and looked up a couple of recipes for brisket. Came back, combined them, and we came in 10th place with that brisket that day. That was our only call.
Oh my gosh.
So you're talking about getting hooked on cooking FBA or KCBS. That did it. And where I'm getting to the Myron thing is he wasn't there, but the folks that did really good there were Rub Bagby. Had never met him. I think he won that contest, and he was sitting over in his tent after the competition as we were loading up, and a very nice couple, Sam and Diane Grogan. They've both passed away recently. We're great barbecuers in their own right. And I walked in there and said, "Hey, I'm sorry to bother you. This is our first competition where we've done chicken and brisket. And can I ask you a question?" And they invited me in. Rub Bagby invited me into his spot right there. And I said, "What can I do to get to y'all's level?" And they said, "Cut 3 or 4 years off of your learning curve. Go take a cook school." And they both recommended Myron Mixon's cook school.
Mm-hmm. So you didn't know Myron. So you didn't know Myron up to then.
Did not.
Okay.
I mean, I'd seen him at the Pig Jig because
everybody knows him or know who he is.
Him as a winning pitmaster.
Yeah.
I didn't idolize him or anything like that. But I actually went to his school that July, and I'm very attentive. I pay a lot of attention, and I think I'm analytic, but most folks think it's the first 4 letters of that word that I am, and I don't think I am. I just I used to play a lot of sports. I used to play 100 softball games per year, and I wanted to be the best at it. I wanted to golf, and so forth. I just wanted to be I didn't want to be the best. I just wanted to really compete.
Right.
And if you're going to waste your money, $1,000 a weekend to go compete in barbecue, you might as well figure out how to save money. So I went to Myers Cook School in July of 2007, and that was it. I mean, I took his class, but I was that pupil in that class that every time he said, "Anybody want to come trim a chicken thigh?"
You were up there.
I was the one going straight up because I wanted to get my hands in on it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that I see, especially now that I teach cooking classes, and they're completely different the way Myron cooks. My style is now. But it's hard to get folks to come up and get in front of that class. And I tell folks say, well, does a cook school truly help? Sure, it's going to cut 3 years off your learning curve and save you $25,000 for a $500 or $600 investment.
Yeah.
So that's how I got to know Myron Mixon. I love Crown Royal, always have, and I that night, on the first
Mandatory.
night, we were in there watching the first year. David Reagan raced NASCAR, and we were in there watching him qualify
Uh-huh.
to run that Sunday in his house, and we had a few drinks, and we became really good friends, you know.
What a great
And-
story.
But as far as, sure it is, but folks like Rub Bagby, and I know everybody knows who he is. He cooked his 400th contest this past weekend, which is amazing. for somebody
Unbelievable,
that's
isn't it?
Staying it that long. But his advice at Barnesville, Georgia, never met him, is what helped send me to where I am. And Myron Mixon taught me what I took from his class. I felt like we could cook really good, but what I took from his class was techniques at building boxes, turning boxes, and your appearance is everything in barbecue. You know, the taste and the tenderness, all that's great, but the human factor of folks eating with their eyes first, you got to have the best looking box on the table.
Yeah.
And I can outbuild a box that he can build today. And that's not knocking Myron, but something I'm really focused on, and I think that's what's helped me to get where I am today is the attention to detail.
Robbie, I think you're right. You know, I think the guys, you, Myron, the guys in the National Barbecue League that are so good, Travis Clark, all that crew from the Midwest, I think the reason they always win is they build a box that stands out. I mean, when it hits a table, it pops off the table. And I think they get judged. I think you get judged with more respect, don't you? I think if they see your box,
I mean,
they put my box and then your box next to each other. They pick up your box and they go, now that's a professional. And I think you get more respect. I really do.
Yeah.
And
and that's probably the biggest topic of conversation about barbecue pitmasters that we were talking about, 2014. Everybody wants to know where my thoughts came from building that box. And it's still the box everybody talks to me about. I build good-looking barbecue boxes. I feel like I do. And just looking back, I think I've built the best boxes that have ever been on barbecue pitmasters. You know, the latter years after Myron started, Myron and Tuffy and Mo and Franklin started to do the judging on the stage, up there next to the bus the way they did.
Mm-hmm.
I truly think that my boxes are what helped carry me through. I really do.
You know, Robbie, when Pitmasters was at its peak, and I'll say when barbecue was at its peak, you, David Bosca, Johnny Trigg, Ernest Cervantes, Rod Gray, you guys became the face of. You guys became the face of barbecue competitors. Did you ever feel pressure, not only to win on those televised contests, but to be entertaining as well?
Absolutely, and that's when I say there's a lot of pressure on those shows. I will stand back and say I had not a clue how they put a 43-minute show together. The pressure was, it was full-fledged, 100% competition. You had your timelines. If you were late, you were DQ'd. And stuff like that. But where it came in was, whereas we prep something in a normal competition and we're just able to kick back and relax after we get prep done, they're videoing us while I'm injecting, while I'm rubbing, while I'm trimming, and all like that, and I'm talking at the same time. And then when you get through prepping your true meat, it's in the cooler. It's what you've got to cook with. They'll say, okay, guys, take a 10-minute break. And then they'll hand you another set of meat, and you got to prep it again. You could be talking about anything you want because they're not recording your voice in. They're just getting close-ups on your hands while you're trimming meat and stuff like that. And it's just second takes, even though our true competition meat's already back in the cooler waiting to go on the pit or already on the pit. We're doing it again. And at the same time, they're wanting you to jab at your fellow competitors. Producers are there to make great TV.
Yeah.
And to have those little things, they want that little bit of animosity on there. It's just like when you advertised this show that I was going to be on it. Somebody put down there, that guy and Myron Mixon they're nothing but a big ass. I don't know if you read that comment on the Owls Nest page today.
I don't
what I like
pay
to, I always reply in a nice way, and I say, before you judge me, meet me in person and make that decision after you meet me. Because there's a lot of stuff that I don't do in real life that they want you to jab. The first show that I filmed on Pitmasters was out in Bixby, Oklahoma, and Jack Waybor, his goatee looked like a basting brush.
Yeah, that was weird. He had had a ring
me
on it. Yeah.
Yeah, had the little, and they wanted me to go ragging about it, are you going to use your beard? I'm not that person. I'm not confrontational. Do I want to win? Am I competitive? Am I full bore? Do I have the excitement that you see on TV? Yes. But there's just a lot that goes on the show. I mean, they literally get 24 hours of video for a barbecue pitmaster show, 24 hours of video from each team, plus 24 hours from the judges. 3 8-hour days is what it takes to film an episode, basically.
To do 43
minutes.
Then a 4-hour day, and for 43 minutes. So much hits the cutting room floor. It's ridiculous. But pressure to make them happy and pressure to tell them, hey, I don't have time to fool what the crap you want to do right now. I've got to go cook barbecue. You have to be boisterous in that manner. And folks like Rod could do it. I could do it. Junior learned from the first episode. I saw him see pressure, and he beat us in the All-Stars.
Right.
And that's fine. Junior's one of the nicest people around, Junior Urias. And Ernest Cervantes. Ernest is the most talented pitmaster / chef in the world today, in my opinion. And he just never was fortunate enough to win the big show.
I made a joke about.
Anybody.
I met Ernest in Rome, Georgia. The last Pit Wars y'all did down in Rome.
Yeah,
I got to meet Ernest, and Eric introduced me to him. And a couple years later, after that last smoked episode, I said, tune in next year when Ernest Cervantes cooks all by himself and Myron Mixon still doesn't let him win. he bless his heart. Rod Gray couldn't lose. You only lost once, and poor Ernest couldn't win. But he kept coming back.
I agree. Ernest Cervantes is the most talented barbecuer that I've ever seen on TV and in person. And he and we became friends 3 years before we ever wound up on Pit Wars together. I mean, just via the internet. We'd chat back and forth. We'd share a few ideas. And it's a true friendship, even though we only probably talk once a year. We'll text back and forth, or I'll congratulate him on Facebook or whatever, But he's one of the big names that should have been way bigger.
Well, he's gotten pretty big now. I mean, he's big in that Texas circuit, and
yeah,
and like you say, Robbie,
most of the time he's winning that ground.
Yeah, and just a fantastic guy too. He was so nice to us. And I'm gonna tell you a real quick story, Frank. You'll like this. We were down in Marietta a few years ago. Well, I'll tell you what. I think it was about 6 years ago. It was the first pro contest my team ever did, and we were set up at the corner there, that little town square in that Main Street, Robbie. I don't know if you remember that, but you and Raymond were cooking together.
Oh, I do. Yeah, I remember right where you were. You were right there next to Ernest.
And we're
next to Eric.
And it was a bunch of us down there. Dan was down there, Frank and Roger was there, and we were all. We didn't know, and you could tell Robbie
Squat from Shinola.
Yeah, we didn't know which end of the smoker to light. And Robbie and Raymond came into our tent. I mean, they walked over to see us. I think it was probably out of sympathy. Like we better make sure these guys don't hurt themselves.
No.
But Robbie sat there, and you and Raymond talked to us for like a half an hour, and you didn't know us.
Yeah.
And of course I was all star bitten and goggle eyed, and I'm thinking. I told the guys. I said, yeah, I said, you know who that is? That's Robby Royal from television, and Raymond from TV. And I said, man, they made us feel good. That was, and you welcomed us to that contest, and you did more for us than the organizers and KCBS did for us that day by just coming over and saying,
I appreciate it.
Welcome. If you need anything, we're there. And that's where I met Eric Thomas too.
But that's one thing. Yeah, that's one thing I always do and continue to do today. If it's a new team, I'm going to walk over and introduce myself, shake your hand. If there's anything I can do, let me know. And on Saturday mornings before turn-ins start, I don't care if it's 100 teams. I don't care if it's 10 teams. I'm going to find my little gap of 15 or 20 minutes, and I'll tell Stephanie or I'll tell Danny, I say, hey, I'll be back. I'm going to do my thing. And I go around and I make it a point to stick my head in everybody's tent and everybody's cook trailer and say, hey, good luck today. Hope you won't last. Because
that's great.
And I'm sincere about it because I think it helps me to do that because it's my time to get out, chill out before the adrenaline rush of build, especially KCBS, of building 4 boxes in an hour and a half, you know.
Yeah.
And, GBA and FBA are more laid back. You have an hour between turn-ins, but go out there and wish everybody luck. Don't be pissed off if you don't do well and somebody else does, because karma's a mother. And I'm a huge believer in passing along good karma because it comes back to me tenfold, and it always has. And it's a big thing. And that's the way I have met some of my best friends in the world. I mean, we have one couple I met 3 years ago, and we've gone on we'll be going on our 4th cruise with them next month. So, you know, that's the important thing. If you're going just to focus on winning barbecue, don't waste your money.
Don't go.
Go and enjoy what this is truly about. Because the only team that breaks even that day is Reserve and Grand, and there's going to be 35 or 40 other teams that are going home losing money.
There's only one winner. You're right.
Money, don't do it.
Yeah, there's only one winner. Hey, when we're going to wrap up the pitmaster talk here in just a minute, but when you were on all the different shows, because Robby, you were on so many, you were on almost every format except one that they had. What was the high point and what was the low point? And what was the funniest thing that had happened that we probably didn't see as viewers of all the seasons of Pitmasters and All Stars and Wars and Smoke?
I think the high point for me, of all of them, I think was having my wife with me at the episode of Smoked. Mm-hmm. Because she had never been on the forefront. I had to beg her to go with me because she doesn't like being on camera. She doesn't like being in front of folks. She did an amazing job. There's so much that she did at that show that just didn't make the air because it's focused on the pitmaster. It's focused on me. It's focused on Ernest and stuff like that. Is the fact that she was there because 2015, it was a tough breakup for Raymond and I when we parted ways. You know, as far as I'll go with that. But we did, and it was a tough year. I just fell into a little rut and I didn't enjoy going anymore. And then she gained the interest to go, and went in and smoked. And if you watch that episode back, if you've got it DVR, at the very end, if you can hear that crackle in my voice, the love that I had for her just being there and supporting me, that was the highest point. Winning Barbecue Pitmasters and getting that trophy was great, and it's right there, but it's 0.5% below the Smoked episode.
What was the lowest point? Was it standing next to Rod Gray when they called his name that time?
That was by far the lowest point. And I think if you watch that episode, and you can tell when they're interviewing me and stuff after the fact, I'm really choked up. That's the first time that I had ever been away. My father died June the 6th of 2000. I'm sorry, November the 6th, 2012. His birthday's June the 8th, and we were filming that episode on June the 8th.
Oh, my.
And I've never not been at his graveside.
Yeah.
So it was an emotional time for me, but we you don't see us, but we made a few screw-ups that day that just we should have grilled off the bacon a little bit before we did those medallions and the venison, because to get the bacon done around the venison, you got to cook the venison way too long.
Yeah.
You know, so that was probably the low point, and it's ironic that you're not the only person that has realized that. Just watching the shows, you could see it. That was way lower than losing the junior. But I was super proud for you.
I know, but the thing about it was those that tournament style contest that you were in. I really think of all the episodes that had the best competition scenes in what it's really like when you're in the trailer or the tent. You know, the planning and everything.
Yes.
I really do think those were the best.
Yes.
Even next year when you and Joe went against each other, I thought that was an excellent episode of the different styles that people cook. You started so early, and Joe started later than you did, but everybody got it cooked at the same time. I thought it was
tough. That's tough to sit there and plan that out. It truly is.
Oh, I bet.
And
because there's no energy. There can't be a lot. Is there a lot of energy around you? At a barbecue contest, I try to tell my friends. They'll ask, "Why do you do this?" I say, the energy and the adrenaline rush is incredible. The time and everything.
That was an adrenaline rush because we literally carried that down to the. It shows that we turned in with like a couple of minutes left, but that's just the way they do that on TV. It was literally I threw my hands up with 11 seconds, and I'll never forget it because my producer was counting down. You got to shut the lid. You have to throw your hands up and say time, because if you don't make it, they're gonna. They might have made the show go on somehow, but I would have definitely lost it. And but that was I was very fortunate in that we had cooked Lake City, FBA down in Lakeland, Lake City, wherever, a few weeks ahead of that cook, and we did a Georgia-Florida challenge. 4 Georgia teams put one box together. 4 Florida teams put one box together after our turn-ins were done. So we had built a box similar to that, and nobody had a clue about that. So that was an advantage. It wasn't the same box. I had to go with legs and never turned legs in before in my life, but the chickens only weighed 1.5 pounds. I mean, the thighs were the size of a golf ball. So, but I don't know. I just pictured it in my head when I saw the box. I knew exactly how I was going to build it, and it worked out. And we didn't need even though they don't say it on there. We have won by single point with the one bite challenge with the shrimp.
Right.
We didn't need the point that day, and I was proud of it. And it's in my contract. I can't say what the score was. He can't say what the score was, but it was more than the 1 point. They always at the barbecue pitmasters, every show they say you just missed it by 0.2 of a point, or
right.
It was by 0.3 of a point, or they did that on the episode, but it didn't air, and there's an agreement that I don't tell what score was, but it wasn't terrible, but we won it by way more than that 1 point.
Well, it's one of those deals.
That's what a lot of folks don't know.
Yeah,
start up.
You want it, and you want it.
Hey,
I know,
Steve.
Yeah, go ahead,
Hey,
Frank.
John McGuire's got a quick question for you, Rob. What was your biggest obstacle when first starting competition barbecue?
The biggest obstacle by far, in my opinion, was figuring out what it took to be consistent. And that's something that I teach in my schools now. You've got to learn how to be consistent, meaning you've got to have patience and not have knee-jerk reactions. If you go to a contest and you don't do well, don't come back with 4 brand new recipes the next competition in 2 or 3 weeks. And if you don't do well, come back with a different recipe. Take your recipes and tweak them. And another big thing that I think anyone that does well in barbecue, you got folks like Tim Malloy down in Florida, Jim Elzer, Matt Barber. I guarantee they're like me. They cook the same brand of meats at every competition. If you're going to cook a Wagyu brisket for a competition, don't practice at home with a choice. You've got to be committed in your practices at home. And I don't practice anymore because winning's not the most important thing to me anymore. It used to be. It's not anymore. My resume's there. And that's stupid to say, but it's what folks tell me all the time. Your resume's there, and they have a valid point. But the biggest thing is to be consistent, you need to practice with the same weight of ribs. If you're cooking 3.5 and down St. Louis, you need to cook with that Smithville brand or that Butcher Barbecue brand, Butcher Reserve brand, or that Come Park Duroc brand. You need to practice with that too. You can't practice with something different what you're going to do in a comp because every meat is different, every hog is different. But the brands tend to cook similar. And that's the biggest obstacle, was learning how to be consistent. for me. And once I learned how to be consistent, we were very fortunate. Like, we won first place brisket in Marietta, where you were talking about. We were brisket was just our category that year in 2000. I think it was 2013 or 14 up there in Marietta, and we literally cooked 17 briskets that year, and I don't think we're out of the top 11 or 12 with any of them.
It's pretty consistent,
and
man.
It's because of consistency.
Yeah,
Yes,
no kidding.
So consistency is by far one of the most important things, and just because you like it don't mean you got to. And I'll tell you one other thing, if we've got a minute.
Yeah, absolutely. Take all the time you need.
Tell these folks, don't be afraid. You see, judges walk around before a contest. Walk out of your site if you have a minute and you see that badge around their neck or on their shirt. Walk out there and introduce yourself. I don't care if you're Joe Blow or if you're Robby Royal or you're Myron Mixon. Walk out there and say, hey, my name's so-and-so. At the end of your day, after your commitment back there in the scoring tent was through, I would love for you to come back and try my rib or try my pork with the sauce on it or try my brisket and be ready. And you let them know, I don't care if it's the worst thing you've ever eaten. That's what I want to know.
Mm-hmm.
You ask for honest feedback, you get honest feedback. A lot of folks won't give you honest feedback. Folks come up to me and say, hey, man, will you try a rib? I said, you want the truth or this is before I even taste it? A lot of times that's good. And I'll try to help them where I think we might need to go. But don't be afraid to take criticism, because barbecue judges don't want what we like in the backyard. They don't want it. And
and everybody in the backyard,
willing to go to you.
And everybody in the backyard loves your food because it's free.
Go to the team next to you. If they took a third place rib, go over there and say, hey, I know they're probably cold. Could I try one of your ribs? There's going to be those few analytic teams that aren't going to let you. But most of your true pitmasters who love our sport and want to see our sport continue to plateau where it is or even get better, most of them will let you try their product. And most of them will try your product and give you an honest answer. And that's two of the biggest hurdles. Consistency by cooking the same product you're going to practice with and not being afraid to talk to people.
Yeah, that's good advice. And you're right. The once people get to know you and you make the effort to go and see them, there always is. Nobody's ever said,
Big family.
Don't come around.
Exactly.
Diva closed the door in front of us one time, but she was busy. But we were asking her too many questions. She had enough of us. but we were just, lots of times,
it's like you said with me a while ago. If you don't walk around and meet folks, I'm going to walk around and meet you. But don't just because. If it's Rod Gray's going to let you walk up and chat with him. Rub Bagby. There's not many good ones that you can walk. Don't think if they're trimming meat or seasoning meat, sure, probably don't walk up there and think you're just walking up trying to shig.
Yeah.
But just because you see exactly everything that I do, you got to go practice it and figure it out.
That's the thing. You gotta do it.
But folks don't need to be afraid to go and say, "Hey, I'm so and so. Love to get your opinion on something at the end of the day," and most folks will.
And nobody's better than Rub Bagby. The only problem is he charges you $25 to talk to him. Hey, Robby,
I'm glad he didn't charge me that 2007 because I couldn't afford it.
I took his school a couple years ago. Robby he came up to Calhoun, Georgia, and taught our school, and it was a great school. We had a great time, and he had a spoon, and he was doing, I forget what he was doing with the spoon, but he held up the spoon and goes, "You can buy this special barbecue spoon for $25 on my website." And I mean, I think he had gotten it in the cafeteria of the campground. Hey, with all the success you had at Pitmasters, I guess, I don't know, was that the pinnacle of your career, or have you got something out there that you want to prove, or, what is the future in competition for you, Robby?
I've focused hard on the Georgia Barbecue Association the last 3 years. I was Team of the Year 3 years ago, third place the year after that, and runner-up last year. And I'm finishing up this season, and I'm still going to continue to cook GBA. My thing is going where my friends are, where there's folks that we like to hang out with, go to dinner with, and just enjoy our camaraderie. But I'm starting this year to expand back out a little bit. I've already cooked one FBA down in Apalachicola, and couldn't have been more pleased with the results, coming in 7th out of 30 plus teams a few weeks ago. I've already signed up for a couple of KCBSs later this year. So my big goal is, and I've had the opportunity on about 3 or 4 different years, and I just couldn't make it happen with work. But I want to go cook the American Royal, the Open and the Invitational, and the only way I can do both is if I go win a contest. So my goal over the next couple to 3 years before I get out of it will be to win a competition where I can go out to the Royal and cook both the Open and the Invitational. That's on my bucket list. I've been to Memphis. The only person that even comes close to breaking even there is the grand champion. We're going to do it again, but we had plans this May to do it, and we had a few things just fall through. But not the Jack's not at the top of my list by no means. That's just not something I'd prefer to go do the Royal if I had my choice.
Yeah.
So that's on my bucket list, and to stick with this long enough for one of my 4 grandchildren to want to take over.
Wouldn't that be cool? Wouldn't that be neat?
Yeah.
It would.
To have a grandchild sitting cooking with you. How old are the grandchildren, Robbie?
Yes. I have 3 granddaughters. They are basically 11, 9, and 19 months, and then I have a grandson that's 9 months. And
Get him started early.
They've all been there. I mean, if you look at my grand champions this year, pictures and stuff, my youngest granddaughter and all 3 of my granddaughters were with me multiple times, and haven't gotten the grand boy out there yet. We will this summer sometime. So
you know,
the 11 with us. It's a family affair for us.
You know, the 11-year-old, she can run boxes. You know what?
The 11-year-old really I thought was going to be a few years ago. She was into it, and it's changed now. She's a full-blooded country girl. She loves to just take her reel and rod, get on the gator, and go fishing by herself down at the pond. She's a fisherman and a hunter. She killed her first deer this year, and that's where her passion is right now, is the outdoors.
Oh, my goodness.
No, she'd go to a competition. She could care less about it right now.
Yeah, maybe that may change. It may not. It doesn't matter.
It will.
Let's
It will.
see.
It's
All right.
all good.
Let's do this. Let's talk. The reason we're here, let's talk some barbecue, okay? And this now. Look at Frank. Frank's all he's all about the free advice here now, and so am I. Now, what's your favorite? Chicken ribs, pork butts, brisket, or the mother of them all, the whole hog, Robbie?
The whole hog by far, with brisket right behind. And least favorite is probably chicken. Everybody hates chicken. Ribs are hit or miss. Butts I'm always consistent with. Mm-hmm. But I love whole hog, especially presenting the finals in NBN. I love it.
What have you done any NBN contests lately?
The Big Pig Jig, runner up this year behind Dixie Q up at the Pig Jig.
Tell us a little bit about the Pig Jig. That's something that is a unique event, isn't it? Because you can see it when you come up from South Georgia. It's sure. when you're heading up I-75 north, you can see it on. Isn't that it on the left around Vidalia in that area?
It is.
Yeah,
it is.
It's right there by the interstate.
It's a little ghost town come to life. There's about 75 teams that actually own structures on the Pig Jig property.
What's up? Property. Yeah, what's up with that deal? That sounds like a pretty like a whole hog condo sort of deal.
Sure, and we bought our own back in 2006, and I still own it today. I remodeled it last year before last, and
the ultimate
it's just
man
nice
cave.
to have. That's basically my hometown cook, besides the cook we have now in my hometown, where all the family comes up and hangs out and gives everybody the opportunity to come up and eat, because there's plenty of food, and it's just a family ordeal for us, Back 12, 15 years ago, the Pig Jig was a drunk fest. It's nowhere near that now. They've really taken and pushed it towards a family atmosphere. I'm not hesitant to let all 3 of my granddaughters be up there for the past 5 or 6 years. And it's a little ghost town come to life for one weekend, and you got your neighbors that cook every year, and it's just a great little deal. And some of the best barbecue you will ever eat.
And so you are the whole hog guy. That's what I mean. That's your
I
you
won
love it.
whole hog this year. That's what I won this year, and
Mm-hmm.
my whole hog came in second, right behind Dixie Q's
Yeah.
by about a point, their shoulder, and they won the grand. And then the year before, Lonnie Smith won it. His hog was first, mine was second. My hog took second highest score that day in finals. The year before, Heath Ryle's ribs beat my first place shoulder. So it's been close. I've been right there in the hunt, and
Hey.
it's my favorite event to do.
Robbie, I've always said that you guys, and I've only been to one MBN contest. We participated in one here a couple of years ago in Chattanooga, and I competed in their equivalent to a backyard because we weren't doing a whole hog. We just did, I think it was a pork shoulder and ribs. I think that's what it is. Wasn't
Right.
that it? Yeah.
Yeah.
And I could not believe those guys or you guys. That's the major league of barbecue right there. The MBN guys when they roll in. To me, that's the.
I'd love to see it. I'd love to see it get really popular again. I'd love to see the on-site judging come back in preliminaries. It's the most fun barbecue there is.
Yeah, but that's
Biggest
got to be.
adrenaline rush is KCBS.
Yeah, but I mean, those guys cook two. Are you one of those guys that cook two hogs for the contest?
No,
Just one?
No, I
Some
cook
of them
one.
cook two.
Yeah.
I mean, they
do.
The expense must be out of this world.
you could do stuff like that if you've got a 6 or 7 couple team that you're splitting costs by
Mhm.
6 or 7 ways. But if you're just a husband and wife team, you're paying it all yourself. You've got to figure out ways to cut, and that's where the NBN has gone. They're trying to save folks money so more folks will cook the events.
Well, I tell you, if you everyone out there listening, if you're not there's more non-competition people listening, Robbie, than there are competition people. If you ever get a chance to go and see an NBN contest and a whole hog, especially the whole hog presentation, we went to Nashville a few years ago when they had a NBN contest at the same time when they did a KCBS contest, one of those double deals, and I got to see
Right.
Gary Ubon do a presentation,
Right.
or Gary Roark rather.
Yes.
And that was,
Yes.
he was incredible. And it's one of the things, that's one of the high points of my short barbecue career was watching Gary Roark do a whole hog presentation. He was nice enough. He let my friend and I, he goes, just stand back here, don't get in the way,
Yeah.
and you can, and just listen. And Robbie, it's an amazing,
and
it's an amazing
I
tale.
was so proud to see them do so good at the Memphis in May. I think they got 6th place year before last, before he passed away, and that was a true blessing for them as a family and as a team that he did that.
Man, that guy, he was a. But that's how Myron started, wasn't it? All in the MBN and the MIM when it was back then.
Sure, that used to be all there was. That was
Yeah.
all there was back in the mid '90s was MBN.
Yeah.
That was it.
Well, maybe it'll come back, Frank. Maybe we'll get one here in Chattanooga we can
it'd be fun.
participate in, and go help. I was going to ask you what can you say for the backyard barbecue person, but I believe you already covered that. John McGuire, our good friend from New England, asked you about everybody staying competitive. So, what's the next few weeks out look like for you? Where are you traveling to?
We are cooking the Dilly Dally in Dooley, which is at the same location the Big Pig Jig is. They do a GBA event now, a Georgia Barbecue Association event.
Yeah.
There next weekend, and it's going to be a unique experience. We've got Daryl Strickland. He's getting married to his sweetheart next weekend on stage before awards, and I'm actually doing the ceremony for him. I got ordained so I could marry them on a barbecue stage.
Are you kidding?
That's cool.
So, no, I'm dead serious. Next weekend, come check it out. Get a little video. You'll have fun down there.
Multi-talented, multifaceted,
Now he can cook the barbecue for your backyard party.
and marry you.
He can save your life,
Yeah,
and he can marry you.
yeah. There you go.
Robbie, you're like
And
the
I can
ultimate.
ruin your
You're
life
the
at
ultimate
same
friend.
time. I can ruin your life at the same time.
Yeah, you're like the ultimate friend. if you buy the
It's
beer,
gonna be fun.
if you buy the beer, I'm moving to Sycamore
I did
tomorrow.
Yeah, well, I don't do a whole lot of that in my home county. So
We'll invite you up to
it's going
Chattanooga
to be a
sometime.
fun event next weekend, and then we've got 2 more GBA events in March, and then I'm easing up to the Boss Hog in Waynesboro to cook that KCBS in May, and then probably take the summer off and do something with the grandkids every other weekend or every third weekend or something.
Hey, tell us. Almost forgot. Tell us about the ant tournament that you're so involved in.
The fire ant barbecue.
Yeah, I wrote it down, and I left my wallet downstairs. I wrote it down with all the information.
Yeah, March 21st, 22nd, 23rd. It's the fourth full weekend in March. It's a Georgia Barbecue Association event. It's a double points event. Probably have 40 teams there, but it's a huge festival, about 110, 120 arts and crafts vendors, fireworks on Friday night, a fair for the kids. It's just a really huge and great family barbecue event in Ashburn, Georgia. And, I'll be cooking there. Holy Smokes will be there. They were on one season of Barbecue Pitmasters.
Yeah.
Bubba Grills will be there. He was on Smoked. And some of the best teams out of Florida, Georgia, and South Carolina are going to be there. It's going to be a fun weekend.
Now, what makes it a fire? Is that a place where they have a problem with fire ants, or is it?
In the past, it used to be called the Wiregrass Festival over down here in the Wiregrass area, and they wanted to come up with a catchier name after the third year, and I think we're in our 25th year this year, 24th or 25th year, or maybe 26th year, and they just came up with, there was always fire ant mounds out on the school property that we used for the fair and all, and so they just jumped on the Fire Ant Festival, and it's really taken off, and the cool thing about the Fire Ant Festival is there's a different theme every year. It's not the same theme over and over. It's the couple of years ago it was the Enterprise. We had the Star Trek theme. This year we're using the American Gothic photo, with the grandma and the grandpa standing out for it, but they're ants. It's down on the fire ant farm. So it's a different theme every year, and I think that's something that makes it successful.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely it does. Well, Robby, thank you so much for being on the show. We sure appreciate it, and it thrills me to death when people like you will take time out of their schedule. I know you've worked all day, and you probably want to eat dinner and get some rest. But thanks for spending an hour with Frank and I.
Trust me, I always have a good time. I always have a good time talking to you, and I know we didn't cover everything because I ramble a lot. I like to talk a lot.
You did
I
great,
feel like
Robby.
I have the gift of gab. My wife says I'm full of crap.
Hey, Robby,
if you want
James,
me back on sometime, just let me know.
James made the comment, great stories, and you were a true storyteller tonight, so thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Robby Royal. We sure appreciate you very much. Robby Royal, direct from Syracuse, Georgia. Sycamore. What did I say? Syracuse. Sycamore, Georgia. Of course, all of our guests are brought to you on the Butcher Barbecue Hotline right here on the Owls Nest BBQ Show. We'll be back here next Wednesday with another barbecue guest on the Owls Nest BBQ page, Steve Ray. Neighbor Frank Blair. I want to remind everybody again before we go, this right here, Butcher Barbecue Grilling Addiction, adorned every meat at the 2018 Jack Daniels World Championship, won by the proprietor of Butcher Barbecue, David Bosca. And it is available at my place, the Midnight Oil in Ottawa. Folks, if you want to take your barbecue to the next level, backyard barbecue, competition barbecue, restaurant barbecue, this has the most unique taste. Frank, you use it.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
It's got the most unique taste. Everything that you need is in it. The Grilling Addiction by David Bosca. Everybody, thank you. Frank, thank you so much for running the board. We sure appreciate it. And we will see you. Let's see. Yeah. Let's find a good song. You'd think I'd be good at this, wouldn't you? To go out on. You think so? Let's go to show tunes. I know this is
over and out.
All right. See you next Wednesday on the Owls Nest BBQ Show. For Frank Blair, this is Steve Ray. You've been listening to the Owls Nest BBQ Show. We'll see you next Wednesday night at 7 o'clock right here.